online on Slack. That'd be great. So today we work through the implementing messages between users, and I thought it's really interesting the different approaches you guys take. I want to analyze this. Like, let's see, Stan's and Oscar's, they're close to what we see here. Try to stick with the user stories and what can be done along that line, and just try to keep it minimal. There's an advantage to that, is that when we start out like this, it gives us the flexibility to change later. However, right, it can also be boring, and then we're like, okay, but what's next? Sometimes it's also nice to go a little bit further. This exercise is not about that, so I thought that was really nice to just see that I can achieve these things by those marks. So how many pages do we have? You can say we have one page with 3 tabs, or you can say we have 3 pages, right? I think another question to have to see is that what's the common layout. For example, you see application layout in your Rails app. So far, the body is different, but the head is always the same. In this case, all the 3 pages have the same tab bar. So that's a different layout. And that's the concept of nested layout that what we have to learn today. And what are the URLs like? So for example, here you could look at something like, maybe messages/new, messages this as inbox, and messages as sent. It's as simple as that. And when you have a clear idea what the URLs are like, then it's also easy for you to think of controllers. Oh, so I already have this.
Right, but then you probably change around, right? When you, let's say, open a conversation.
Yeah.
Then you might switch to, not to messages conversations, but to conversations /
So in your case, because you hide it, you might actually have show, which is, let's say, messages/ID, right? This is sometimes in the programming world, you either write it with a number, arbitrary number like this, or in Ruby, you tend to write like this. In some other frameworks, sometimes they write like this. So, it depends. In Ruby, we tend to just write this, and you understand that this will go to, the controller with the params ID for you to use. Yeah. What inspired you to come up with this messages view? And again, here is for example, the other ones, Gui and Ian, you guys talk about Facebook Messenger as a good inspiration for this design. I will talk about Facebook Messenger and compare with this one in a second. But I want to ask Louis and Ian, what inspired you guys and Fu, with that UI? Have you seen anything like that, or is it just something you want to make it really different? Okay. It's quite similar to Palm OS, but it's very short-lived. The card interface. Okay, cool. The card interface in Palm OS is like that, and Charles actually worked at Palm OS in the past. It's one of the very good mobile operating system, but Palm just got shut down anyway. What about you guys? Do you see anything that adopt a similar interface?
I mean, it's pretty simple. So
Yeah.
I think the whole idea was just more in the back of my mind of actually the use of simplifying. I kind of in general like that idea.
Yeah.
A lot of design and a lot of, I feel like there's a little bit of a trend going that way. I just like it, so I think we were playing around with that.
Absolutely. So when you play around, you have an ugly version. That should be the intentional. The first version should always be ugly. So you don't care too much about the border, the shadow, the font, or the extra details. It can be as ugly as possible so that you focus on the general flow. And so let's talk about this view, right? If we use the messenger flow, if we implement it, this is the inbox that is displayed by sender. This is not displayed by messages. So it's very different to think like, okay, these user stories are like this, but the views no longer, this inbox is no longer, the list of received messages. These are conversations and grouped by the people you chat with. So first, this is list grouped by sender. We agree, right? And then the second thing, it's actually called conversation because when you go into one, you may be having a conversation with more than one person. So the way we design it is very different. You actually have a conversation, and then you have a bunch of messages that have a conversation ID. Does that make sense to you guys? We think about, okay, I have to create a conversation model. And then, but anyone can participate in this conversation. Then I have to create, this message. And when someone sends a message into this conversation, there's a message, but there's a conversation ID, so I can load all these messages here. So to implement the messages feature, we will need the user model, message model, conversation model, and even maybe conversation participation. There may be a little bit more. So for this lab and this homework, we'll start with something simpler, which is to go back to the the new inbox sent here. Okay, but for your homework, if you like, you can definitely give it a try regarding the conversation model. Does that one make sense? Do we understand the conversation versus just a standard one-one message? One-to-one message is very similar to an email interface. And the sidebar of an email is really just a messages display chronologically, right? Well, the latest one first. Now, in our assignment, even though it still doesn't say Facebook clone here, but you see that some people this guy implement a conversation UI where you can add multiple people and then you have a conversation with more than one, okay? Whereas this guy go to the standard one where you can add friends and you can just click on that guy and send a message to that person. Which is, this one will be the same as well. So for today, I'll walk you through how to work with this message model, and then you guys will have the opportunity to just also play around with it. And interestingly, this is one new thing that you will learn is how to have multiple remotes on your machine, and you can check out the branches within them. Okay, any question before we get started on the message model? Continuing our app.
Is there any chat app like this for programmer?
Chat app.
Full drive and then just a guy inspire like a chat app on the command lines.
Yeah, no, that should be. But I don't know what full. But you guys did not present that.
Well, I'm not sure that is but that's not really not his intention.
Okay.
Just think about it.
For a programmer, you wanted to do it in the command line? So it's similar to Slack?
Or do you just need the style what you look like in
Yeah. Like this one?
Cool for some people.
Like this one? This is chatting in the terminal like that. So it's entirely possible. People have done it in the past with basically connecting through, and it's programmer-like. Obviously, go back to really old days. It's the syntax stuff like this, and this is chatting inside Emacs. Because Emacs is a text editor, but it's as powerful as an operating system by itself. So you can install a lot of things, connecting to the internet, rendering the HTML. So this is, I think that now the interface, this is one of the really old technology, but it's still one of the best technologies, right? Internet relay chat. And it's just amazing. This is how, all these new ones are not as efficient, and but now we all focus on the UI. So this is pretty sweet. You can read more about it if you like. Okay, so yesterday you fork this repository. Now what happens when you fork? You clone your repository and you start working on it. What happens later on when the repository that you forked, right, has updates? Have you ever thought about that? It has updates. I have some new commits. So then you're like, well, what happens when you have updates? So yesterday you fork, and then you guys add these commits, right? Now go to school, repo here, go on and have a few more commits that I added, all right? Oh, why is it not displaying? Okay, right? These are the commits that I added in the Go to School repo, and then these are in your fork. You guys work together, and then you have these things. What you want is like, oh, actually, it would be really nice to check out this branch, or it would be really nice to take this commit and then merge into my branch. So that's the idea of that. Locally, you're gonna have your own remote. This is your origin. Ian, this is your origin. Oscar, this is your origin. But you want to have more than one origin. Okay? When you push to Heroku, Heroku is your second origin. But you never pull code from Heroku. Don't do that. Okay? Only push to GitHub. Pull from GitHub, but you push to GitHub so other people can enjoy your code. You push to Heroku so you can deploy it. Do not use Heroku as a place to pull. It's just really confusing because Heroku doesn't provide you this UI to know what it is over there. Okay, so today that's the opportunity to check out and what it means to like work with a fork and get some updates upstream. Now, for the purpose of this lab, you will check out this branch, lab 5.4 start here, and you will continue working from here. So it has similar code, but hopefully slightly more polished in a way that because I have some experience and I had to make it look a little pretty, so everyone has a nice starting point from here, and then now we add the messages that is similar to the lecture that we're going to do. And with these exercises, you go back to your homework and you can implement it your way. You feel like, okay, I want to do it very similar to the lecture style, the lab style first, or if you want to do it differently, you plan accordingly. So you don't, the goal is always to achieve, right, certain features.
Homework should start from zero, right? No forking.
Yeah, but again, it's really fine, up to you to turn that into your own code. Start from zero. Feel free to copy and paste this public repository, copy and paste, but make sure you only copy very small bits at a time so you can understand what it is. If you implement a sidebar, right, like this, and you don't know how, you either copy from the documentation page or you want to copy it from, let's say, my layout. You want to copy the way I display the flash messages. You can copy anything, but when you copy, make it yours, right? Copy small bits and then you run it, make sure that it appears there, and then copy something else. Whatever ways you guys do it, I want result. That's all. Really, end of Sunday, you sort of have a GIF that can show, hey, look, I can add friends, I can remove friends, I can send messages, and here's the extra things I did. The drop down looked really nice. Or I have some user experience enhancement, like not showing the message on the inbox view, or there's a button up there where you can toggle whether to show all the messages or to hide them, right? It would be cool, isn't it, if this page, there's a button here, I click and then it turns into this view, and I click again, it just shows the message. Maybe blur it out. I don't know. It's something fun for us to experiment with. But doing something really simple that has the features is also important. So my goal is to present you the very simple way, as simple as I can, but as not ugly as I can. And then, we'll go from there. For this work today, I am going to start from something similar to your work. So I use this branch, lab 5.4 start here. Yeah, and then I'll add to it. Let me also show you the final result. Where's my lab 5.4 start? So let me update this here. When you fetch a different repository, not fork, sorry, when you add another remote here, you know, when you type git remote -v, now you should see 3 remotes and their addresses, right? Origin, Heroku, and Photo School. Okay? And now when you git check out, lab 5.4 start, it will search for this branch in one of these things. This will actually search and then found, it will find the Photo School / lab 5.4 start branch. Then it will create a new local branch called lab 5.4 start field. So that's the idea.
Is there any way you can check if lab 5.4 is available?
Yes, you can say to list out the branch locally. You can say list branch. This will show you the, this is your current branch. And if you type git branch -a, this will list out all branches. Okay, I don't have a fork, so I'm going to show you my repository in here. So git remote, I only have origin and Heroku. You should have your origin as yours. And oh look, this is my origin. I actually rename it. So let's say I'm going to do the same thing here. It's going to be called Photo School. All right. So now I have 3 git remote. Yeah. And then if you type git branch, it just show the list of branches actually and highlight your current branch. You see that? But these are only your local branches. List local branches, highlighting your current branch. All right. Now, if you say git branch -a, here's the interesting part. You will see the branches that also exist remotely. Heroku, why we should not pull data from there? There's only one branch and it's only used for deployment, so don't use it there. Hey, I pushed to Heroku, but I forgot to push to GitHub. Can you pull from Heroku instead? If your friend say that, give him a slap, because it happened a lot. And these people, when they work like that, they will start blaming each other. It's like, wait, did you just force push to Heroku and you delete my code? It's just being really unprofessional. It's just really bad. So I've seen that happen, right? Just because people are just lazy, so don't. Now this look like remote, so it's just the language, right? You see it like that. Here is a little interesting bit of it. Like when you see a branch, I can say git check out. I never really check out a branch with this prefix like this. I'm on this current branch. If I want to merge the other branch that is not local, but this is let's say if you want to merge from this remote branch into your local machine, this remote / branch is a cache of what is on GitHub. Every time you call git fetch, it updates that cache. So it can be really tricky. Initially, a lot of people just don't understand this origin / branch name, Heroku / master, or but you see this once in a while. You do see it a lot. So interestingly, for your work, when you type this, it actually will say, hey, I don't see this lab 5.4 start local branch, so I need to create a new branch. Maybe, okay? And then it will go and find this branch on any remote. If it finds it, then it will create a branch that will be exactly the same as this branch. If it doesn't find it anywhere, it will say the branch doesn't exist. git checkout, then say did not match anything. But if I say git checkout, lab, I type this, it will be able to find this under remote here, and then you can check it out. Now after you do that, you make sure you type git log so you can see what I did until then. When you type git log, it should look similar to this view. The latest I did was that it's a navbar burger. Yeah? So it will look a little nice on your screen. Any questions?
Yeah. So if you get that new updated one, does it override? Like what happens to our initial code?
Oh, it's just in a different branch. Beautifully tracked. So when you say git checkout master, it go back to your code.
Oh, so my code is left alone, and we're just switching to a new one. And now
Just switch to a new branch. Now, right now, you're not well equipped to merge two things, and it may actually not as useful because some of my code is doing the same thing as your code. In some cases, I may say, hey guys, I push one fix to this branch. I give you guys this code yesterday, and when you fork, so I'm going to choose master branch, okay? Here's an example. If you forked yesterday and you fork and there was only this, let's say only this much, the commit is only here, and then you're happily working on it, but then you realize that your JavaScript is not working, and I say, hey, sorry, I fixed that, but you cloned before I fixed it. Then you say git fetch code to school, git merge code to school / master, and this commit will go into your current master. This does not have to make complete sense. Just know that you have different branches, and as long as you commit and you have a branch name, your code is safe. Commit everything, it's clean, switch to a different branch. Git keeps track of all of this. Okay? All right. Now let me start with the new app.